Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be looking at OnePage's rules, community survey results, and maybe make some guesses on where they're headed in the future. Let's go! So this was a really interesting survey, one that I took part in, and one that's OnePage Rules does. It says biannually, so every twice a year. And hopefully it's something that they're going to do that will allow us as, users and players to be able to say like what we think OnePage Rules should be doing in the future. And it really does sound like they as creators and us as a community get to talk back and forth a lot and will hopefully be some really good stuff. So let's check this out here. Community survey results that they have. It says this month we ran our biannual community survey results with 1,400 responses. And so that's a lot. So let's kind of see where the questions they asked and what we can get into here first. The first thing they asked was, where do you follow OnePage Rules news and content? It looks like the majority of it is on Discord and Patreon. All right, so if you are supporting OnePage Rules, it would make sense that you would be looking at Discord and Patreon. After that comes the website, then the newsletter, but then neck and neck with newsletter is YouTube, and then social media, Reddit, Facebook. Looks like nobody nearly gets it off of Twitter or TikTok. And 9 people on the survey results said they don't follow OPR news. So, I mean, whatever, that's fine. So it doesn't really look like people self-report that they get their news from social media, even though they are saying that it looks like we've got a lot of followers, but you're not going to the social media for news. So that's fine. Then it says, which OPR games do you play? Now this is really interesting to me. The first one it's saying was Grimdark Future, far and away, is the one that people play the most, and I guess that would make sense and line up with like how popular Warhammer 40K is versus Age of Fantasy. You see like 977 people say they play Grimdark Future versus about 650 people saying they play Age of Fantasy. And I think that's really fascinating. I, on this channel, have played more Grimdark Future than I have Age of Fantasy, which is wild to me because I came into wargaming through fantasy, and I really kind of like fantasy more. So I'm not proving that by how I use this channel. That's fine. And then there's a lot of people playing Firefight and Skirmish, which I think is cool. Not a lot of people playing Regiments, only 179 people. And way more people playing OPR's new thing, Age of Fantasy Quest, than either Warfleets, their spaceship battle, or Age of Fantasy Regiments. So I think that's really interesting, really fascinating. Then they ask the question, how often do you play OPR games? And it looks like most people are playing once or twice a month, or 3 times every few months. So not a lot of people playing 3+ times a week. There are some people who are saying that they're playing 1 to 2 times a week, 14%. And it looks like there are a lot of people who are getting in some good games. I'd say almost half of people getting in at least a game a month, if not 2. To combine the once to twice a month or 3 times a month and the 1 to 2 times a week, looks like people are playing about once to twice a month plus, right? I'd be interested to know how often you're playing OnePage Rules down in the comments. So like, let me know how often you play OnePage Rules, or any war game. How often do you play? Do you play once a month, twice a month, 3 times, once a week? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you say about that. Where do you play OPR games? This is fascinating. Most people are playing at home or a friend's house. 1,000 people out of this 1,400 people say they play at home or a friend's house. The next closest is at a game store. 318 people. That's a giant leap. I think that's really fascinating. All right, so then Games Club, I don't really know what that might mean, like people who play at games, a club or something like that. Online comes after that, so maybe that would be, Tabletop Simulator or similar. So that's really fascinating. So it looks like a lot of you playing at home. So that's to say, for someone like me who's a big proponent of 3D printing, um, 3D print your models. If you're playing at your house or a friend's house, they're not going to have a policy on 3D printed models. So just play, have fun, print your stuff. What OPR community events would you be interested in going to? Looks like local casual game events wins this out, but following closely with local hobby painting events and convention casual game events. I would really enjoy some type of local casual game event. I'd bring an army there. I have my dwarf guild's army painted up, my high elf fleets on the way. So like things like that would be really interesting to me. I'd really enjoy that. Tournaments, I would go play, but really I'd be going to play for the fun of it, like just to have fun and hang out. And then it looks like most everybody is kind of on that same page, with very few people saying they want to do a convention tournament. The lowest amount of I'd be interested in what kind of other event you might be thinking about. What minis do you use to play OPR games? I find this really fascinating. Most people are either playing with their own OPR 3D self-printed minis or Warhammer. And those seem to like conflict a little bit. But I guess it makes sense. If you came to OPR and you already had Warhammer miniatures, you might as well use the miniatures you've got. And if you came to OPR and you own a 3D printer, let's just print some minis, right? So that's really fascinating. The next after those two are other 3D printed miniatures. So you're playing OPR, but with other companies' miniatures. And I also support Station Forge on My Mini Factory and Beholder Miniatures on Patreon. So looking at those two, like I love their stuff. And they have things that OPR doesn't have yet. So One Page Rules has said that they're going to produce everything eventually, but it'll take about 6 years. Me being a little impatient, I have printed things from other companies. So that makes sense to me. Then way further down is other physical miniatures. So what this is telling me is that Warhammer still has really great minis. They're just expensive. So let's go and print some stuff. Not a lot of people playing with OPR's paper miniatures, which is by far the cheapest way to get into one-page rules in wargaming. The quickest way, you just print it out, glue it together, fold it up, and you're done. But not a lot of people playing with them. So I think that's fascinating. I wonder if that means they will continue to produce them or not. How do you buy physical miniatures from other brands? Online, game store? I don't. Right? So this seems closer than all things considered, right? So online is the winner, but then like really not too far behind it is at game stores. And then there's not a ton of people saying they don't buy physical miniatures, but they are present. They're there. They exist. We are all just shopping online, I think it looks like. But go support your local game store. If you got one, go do that. Are you interested in buying physical minis from OPR? Yes, from a Kickstarter. Now, I have kickstarted a few things that would be really interesting that if OPR would to do that. So people saying they'd want to buy physical miniatures from One Page Rules, but they'd really buy it from Kickstarter or a physical game store. I don't see One Page Rules opening up a physical game store, probably putting their products into physical game stores, but that's really interesting. And then other people saying, yes, they'd choose an online store from One Page Rules if they were to offer their miniatures in physical form. That'd be really interesting. I'm curious what you might think about that as well. What kinds of physical miniatures would you be interested in buying? Most everyone's saying minis on sprue or a multi-part miniatures. But behind that, most people saying I'm not interested in buying physical miniatures. And then behind that, pre-assembled single piece. And I read this earlier, and it's interesting. It says there's a definite preference for model kit style miniatures on sprues, which is interesting because it seems our pre-assembled miniatures are more popular for 3D printed minis. When I'm printing stuff, I really prefer to just print the model. Take it off the supports, model's done, glue it on a base, I'm good. That's what I would prefer. I'm just one person in the survey, that's what I put. But yeah, miniatures on sprues is what people are saying. It looks like is the winner here, or just I don't want to buy physical miniatures. As an author, I was really fascinated with this question. Would you be interested in buying physical books from OPR? Yes, rule books is the winner, but then yes, lore books comes right after that. And then last is no, I'm not interested in buying physical books. All right. And then people saying, yeah, they'll buy art books, but mostly they want to buy rule books or lore books. One page rules. I write books. I've written a lot of books. Hit me up. Let's talk. Let's talk stuff. That'd be really fascinating to me. I'd enjoy that a lot. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons? Half of the people on this survey said yes. And then another 12% saying no, but I'd like to. Another 24 no, but I play other RPGs. And then only 13% saying I don't play. I don't play D&D or other games. Now this is letting us know One Page Rules is looking at some D&D type stuff, which is their next question. Would you be interested in D&D compatible material from OPR? Yes. I want stat blocks from OPR. Yes, I'd be interested in adventures from OPR. And then no, I wouldn't. This is all basically flat across the board. So a third-ish saying that yes, they'd want something from OPR, whether it be stat blocks, adventures, or no. So I think that's really interesting. I guess if you combine stat blocks and adventures, that's a really big group. That's about 1,200 people saying, yeah, that they would do that. But then 600 people saying, no, I'm good. Now this I thought was really cool. Let's look at this here. Which Grimdark future armies do you play? There's everybody. Okay. It looks like Alien Hives used to be the most popular one, but now it is Battle Brothers, followed by Alien Hives, then Human Defense Force, and then Robot Legions. So I think that's really fascinating. The least played, it looks like, is Elven Jesters. Sorry, Harlequins. Only followed up shortly by Rebel Guerrillas and Infected Colonies. So really fascinating. Really fascinating there. Let's see. I want to look at let's try to find my guys real quick. So I have Dwarf Guilds, 23%. I have High Elf Fleets. Of course, they just printed those. Only 25% playing High Elf Fleets. High Elf Fleets. Human Defense Force, I have them. Human Inquisition, thinking about it. Machine Cult, they're fun. Orc Marauders, just printed those guys off. 22%. Ratman Clans, the space ones, not a ton of people playing that. Robot Legions, 33%. Saurian Star Hosts, Soul Catchers, Soul Snatcher Cults, Titan Lords, Wormhole Demons. Interesting. Find this really interesting. Yeah, so I mean, you should look at what's going on here. But looks like Alien Hives and Battle Brothers far and away the most played, followed by Human Defense Force and Robot Legions. Really cool. Who do you play? Tell me down in the comments. Then we have the Age of Fantasy armies. Interesting. Here we go. We have, getting down to this, the most played is Vampiric Undead, followed by Saurians. So let's get some lizards, right? Let's get some undead lizards. That could be fun. Then it's Ratman, Human Empire, and then everybody starts to kind of fall into place with Orcs, Mummified Undead, Dwarves, Duchy of Vinci. I think it's interesting how Beastmen is up here higher than a lot of other people, even though they just got canceled by Games Workshop. fascinating to that. Not a lot of people playing Bretonnia, Shivers Kingdoms. Not a lot of people playing IDK or Deep Sea Elves. Giant Tribes, no. Halflings, no. Havoc, Dwarves, no. RIP, Chaos Dwarves. Kingdom of Angels, not a lot of people playing that. And then not a lot of people playing City Sky Dwarves. Wow, down at 33 people, 3%. And Volcanic Dwarves, not a lot of people playing that either. Interesting. Shadow Stalkers, people are saying that they're playing that, even though it's a brand new army from One Page Rules. I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting. Okay, well, as someone who's just printed some Saurians and some Duchies of Vinci, I like this. This is interesting where this is coming here. New official model stars. It's a huge jump in popularity as well as small increase in popularity for the Duchies of Vinci. Yep. All right, which Grimdark future war fleets? I don't play war fleets. I've looked at it a little bit, but it looks like other wins out. Alien Hives dropping behind Battle Brothers. Interesting. Robot Legion saw a significant increase. All right. Then their new game with Age of Fantasy Quest classes. Who plays that? Most people playing Fighter with Ranger, Barbarian, and Wizard following after that. So like the classics, right? Just the classics. Not a lot of people playing Monk or Bard or Druid. That's okay. You can hang out there. Now this is really interesting. It says the first Grimdark Future faction book we're making will be the Eternal Dynasty. So that's their own thing. Which Grimdark Future faction book would you like us to make next? A lot of people saying Saurian Starhost, which they're pretty cool looking, I gotta admit. Followed shortly by Human Defense Force. And then you got Jackals, again, OPR stuff. And Robot Legions, Alien Hives, Blessed Sisters, Dwarf Guilds, High Elf, Wormhole. Yeah. So a lot of people want some Saurian, so that looks like interesting. Very, very neat. And then first Age of Fantasy faction book we're making is Duchies of Vinci, which I just started printing some of those. Those are fun. People are saying after that they'd like some Ratmen or some Vampiric Undead, followed by Saurians again. So that is really neat, really fascinating. So this is crazy. This is good stuff here. Good stuff. So I'm curious. Does this show you where OPR is heading in the future? So it looks like they are going to be making some army books. Maybe they're going to make some Saurian Starhosts. Maybe they're going to make some Ratman books, which would be really fascinating with Warhammer Age of Sigmar coming out with their newest stuff with Skaven. Would OPR go toe-to-toe, head-to-head there? Because their Ratmen are very different than Skaven. And maybe people like that better. I don't know. But then there's the futuristic one, where people are really saying that they would love to see some Saurian Starhost, which that'd be cool. That'd be neat to see. Again, neat results, some interesting stuff. I like that OPR is listening to its community and would do stuff based on community feedback. Is that what a gaming company should do? Weird. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Do me a favor, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think OPR is up to. Like the video, subscribe, do the YouTube things. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. Bye.